Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. I got a good one for you today. All things business book review. Today we're in 10x is easier than 2x. And as you can see, I got my notes here to go tonight. And we're so excited. We're into chapter 3. Chapter 3. And joining me tonight, first of all, let me say this. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Hit the thumbs up button and also leave a comment. We love comments. And you might want to share this definitely with at least 7 people, because you know what 7 means: complete, and a blessing will come back to you. So let's complete that tonight. Or some of you may want to hit somebody, text them real quick before we get started. It'd be also great as well. Thank you. Hey, Mr. Rick Kubiak in Hawaii is already joining on here. We thank you. Tonight I'm joined in the studio with Miss Kathleen Williams from Sacramento, California. How you doing, beautiful lady?
Just fine. Good evening, Mr. Thomas.
Good look, good having you, good having you. Also tonight we have in Fresno, California, the one and only Mr. Harrison Mills. How you doing, sir?
I'm awesome. How are you?
Fantastic, fantastic. Good having you on the call tonight. Big old smile going on in the backyard. Beautiful weather out there, huh?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, at least you can be in the backyard. Still in the hundreds out here in Vegas. You know, matter of fact, the other night I was with a buddy of mine with the top down. It was 97 degrees at 9 o'clock at night going to the store. So thank you so much for joining. I also want to thank Miss Jackie Black out there in Connecticut joining in. I thank Shurion in Florida. Thank you for joining. And I think I already said Mr. Kubiak out in Hawaii. Thank you for joining us tonight. So we're going to get right into chapter 3 tonight. Chapter 3, and you folks at home, you may want to join in, get your books yourself, and follow along with us, and or tell more people about it, and or like I say, send out some videos. Yeah, and get with a couple friends and send it to them, and you guys can have a roundtable discussion about this, because this is how we grow. And with this book review, it's really helping a lot of people. And thank you all for joining us. So we know it's going to bless you tonight, so thank you for being here. So chapter 3, Ms. Maria Estrada in Arizona, thank you so much. In chapter 3, 10x embracement, abundance, and rejection of scarcity. So I'm going to go to the bottom of the page. You folks out there that have got your book handy, your Cuaderno, and we thank you so much, and your libro and your. So we're going to go through the bottom of the page on page 97, and I'm going to start there. It said in August 15th of 1978, when Dan Sullivan was 34 years old, he got divorced and went bankrupt all in the same day. We're talking about putting pressure on a person. This was an insane, low, and sobering moment for him. The extreme pain of his divorce and bankruptcy helped him realize that he wasn't taking 100% responsibility for his life. Anybody want to comment on that? Wow. Miss Kathleen Williams?
That's a loaded paragraph. But it also reflects back up about the paragraph above, that there are needers and wanters. And it sounds like he was being a strong needer at that point and not a wanter.
Yeah, so true. Mr. Mills?
The funny thing is, it's actually comforting. For me, I look at it as like, couples therapy. You do a whole group of different couples. You think you're just the only one going through it. You're the only one battling through it. But then you hear other couples going almost kind of through the same thing, to the point where now it's comical. So it's almost saying, hey, I'm not the only one. So it's kind of comforting for me to see that, hey, if you're going through it, I might just be okay.
Yeah, that's very true. And on page 98, the second paragraph, let's talk about the end of the year. Here he says, near the end of that year of 1978, he decided, I'll say it again, he decided that every day moving forward, he would write in his journal exactly what he wanted. Let me say it again. He wrote exactly, Miss Maria Estrada, what he wanted. Jackie Black, he wrote exactly what he wanted. And he wanted to train himself to live life based on his wants, not needs. Freedom, not security, and abundance, not scarcity. Man, I'm gonna drop down a couple more paragraphs. It says he stopped being concentrated on needs and rationalization. He stopped worrying about others' opinion about his goal. And so many people Worry about what other people think. Who cares? Miss Kathleen Williams, you want to comment on that?
My comment on it is people that live in a world of scarcity have needs. They feel like if I need, and if I need, I get more than somebody else does, and I'm taking from Harrison. And when I'm living in a world of abundancy, I don't have to worry about it because I'm not taking from anybody else. And just making the decision to live in a life of abundancy and want and not need is rewarding and fulfilling and freeing.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. It's freeing. It is. Mr. Mills.
You know, going piggybacking off a little bit where you said abundance and scarcity, watching what he's doing. But one, it looks like I need to get myself a journal. Now, I'm good for writing affirmations. I'm good for, disciplining and doing the daily routines. But writing down in a journal the things that I want, the things that he wanted every day. I don't know if he's doing it every day, if he's doing it weekly, but that he wrote it down. He's writing it down. That says something. I don't know what it is about pencil to pen, but it means a whole lot. And here's the other thing to me. Isn't it funny that you start to see mountains move by going through some struggle? He had to go through the struggle in order to see this mountain need to be moved. And the person moving it was actually him making the steps, not just prayer, not just, I'm going to will it or those things. He actually had to move, and so that it's speaking volumes to me.
Yeah. Also, thank you, Mr. Agent O'Neill, for your comment. Thank you, sir. I'm going to jump over to page 102. And, in the first paragraph, actually, it's the next sentence says, wealth is what you want, not money. I'll say it again. Wealth is what you want, not money. And a little further down, it says money is a way of moving wealth. And see, a lot of times people get wealth mixed up with money. Wealth could be your health. Wealth could be spiritually, mentally, emotionally. Wealth could be physical. Wealth is not just money. And a lot of people get the difference in wealth and money. Wealth is amazing, and it's measured in different ways. What do you got to say about that, Ms. Williams?
It is measured in different ways. And as you pointed out, wealth is things that we want, like food and housing and clothing, and things that we want to do and things that we don't want to do.
Yeah.
Creates wealth. I don't want to spend my time working in the yard. So for me, it's wealth, it's time freedom that I can't get any other way.
Yeah.
By having someone else do it. And the example they used about refurbishing an old vehicle, yes, that's a lot of wealth. You spend the whole summer refurbishing something, and at the beginning of the summer, it may be worth $100. By the time you finish furbishing it in the fall, you have something worth a whole lot more, not just monetarily, but in a sense of value to a community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go. Reminds me of a story. If I let you speak, Mr. Mills, I remember one of my mentors, Peter Daniels, was in the church, and they had a church meeting. He was on the board of the church he is in Australia. And the pastor asked for a volunteer, listen to the words, to clean the church. His hand went up, says, Pastor, I'll have that done. That's what he said. I'll have it what? Done. And Saturday later, the pastor came in to get ready for Sunday's sermon, and he noticed there was a stranger in there sweeping the carpets and cleaning the carpets. And he said to him, and he called Peter Daniels up immediately. He said, I thought you said you were going to do the work. He goes, no, Pastor, you don't understand. I said I was going to have it done. He says, my time is worth $200 an hour. Why should I be doing the work when I can hire somebody at $20 an hour to do the work? And that never left me. And that is wealth. That is wealth. Mr. Harrison Mills, you can go ahead and comment now.
Love it. Thank you for sharing that. One, knowing your worth is what I'm hearing from that. And the other thing is, as I'm learning this also, this is me talking. Most people that have never had money think, wealth and money are the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
but wealth comes in so many different spans of just like, and like I said, I'm learning that same thing also as I fill my cup in different places and different aspects of just life, family, the that is wealth. You know, children, the community that you're involved in, the way that you think, the way you measure life has a lot to do with wealth, and so. It is, and which removes money in some sense of the word. You know, as I've heard you say, money only does one thing, and that amplifies who you already
Who you
are.
are. Exactly. I'm going to continue on page 102. It says money, we just got money alone is not worth chasing. Let me say that to the audience around the world. Money alone is not worth chasing, it says. And if money is all you're after, you will struggle building wealth. There it is, which is valuable assets, skills, and creation. And a little further down it says, excuse me, however, when you realize that wealth and money are not the same thing, which we just talked about, and that wealth is actual created. Wow, money is a subtraction. It's defined of the definite game. Wealth is reality. It is an infinity game. There is no scarcity of wealth. Wow, Miss Williams.
And wealth is a byproduct of choosing freedom. And it really is. It's a freedom of your time, a freedom of, and time is the most valuable asset we all have. And too many people that see scarcity or judge wealth thinks that wealth is money, and then they work and never have the time for, even if they make the money. But having time with your family and friends and doing what you want has more value and is more creative than all the dollars and cents in the world.
Absolutely. I co-sign that. Mr. Mills?
Hey, if anyone's seen the dollar right now, money's not really worth that much anyway. So once you get it, you know, I mean, in some kind of, you semi kind of broke in some sense of the word, you know, tangible money is just what I'm saying with it. But it's the one line for me is there's no scarcity of wealth. I mean, scarcity and wealth, they don't even coincide. They can't be, it's like, you know, what, oil and vinegar put together. Scarcity, and they can't come together at all. And so that's really encouraging to me, because the more that I pursue wealth, not money, but the more I pursue wealth, the further away scarcity gets away from me.
There you go. I remember, let's see, a saying, I kept trying to think where this came from. Wealth is measured by how many days you can survive without working. Let me say that again for everybody. Wealth is measured by how many days you can survive without working. And what people look at, if they have $1,000, let's say $10,000, that's, and let's say over here's 1,000. I'm just using this round figure. That means they got 10 months. But wealth, is very important. And I'm gonna go to page 103. It says a simple term: wealth is value. Yeah. What kind of value are you bringing to the marketplace? There's a reason why some people get paid $10 an hour, $100 an hour, and some people get paid $1,000 an hour. So what kind of value you bring to the marketplace? It says you can become 10x more valuable and thus wealth without directly having a 10x more money. Indeed, money follows wealth. Woo. And I'm going to add on some that wealth loves speed. Miss Kathleen Williams.
Wealth does love speed. Wealth is, as it said, wealth is a value, and value is qualitative, not quantitative. And there's a difference. Wealth and abundance are qualities, not quantities. 10x is a quality measurement, not a quantity measurement. And quality there's quality of life, there's quality of all time, there's quality of everything, just like there's wealth of everything.
Quality of food too. Mr. Harrison Mills.
Beautiful. You know, I don't know if I can add anything to anything you guys said other than wealth is definitely value. And can you put a price on that? Can you put a price on wealth? is the question for me that I ponder. And if I can put a price on it, what would I stake? What would I put at stake for it?
Mm-hmm. Very good. Very good. I'm going to continue on page 103 on number 6 here. The more specific and specialized the value you can create, the wealthier, I'll say it again, the wealthier you can become. You're creating things that no one else can or would. You're providing an incredible, usable service that is not only desirable but transformational for someone who wants it. Wealth and freedom. I'll say again, wealth and freedom are exactly the same thing. Wealth is quantitative, and so is freedom. You just said that, Miss Williams. Wealth is freedom and are about value. Ooh, Miss Williams.
And it is about value, because it's a value you put on something that may or may not be tangible.
Mm-hmm.
The wealth of a family relationship, the wealth of my relationship and with my God. You can't put a figure on those things. The wealth of having, for some people, the wealth of just having a home is something you can't measure.
Mm-hmm. Very true. I like on the bottom of the page where you comment, Mr. Mills, it says value and wealth, the value and quality of time, money, relationship, and all over purpose. Is what you said, Miss Williams. Go ahead, Mr. Mills. I know you want to comment.
Love it, love it. Your time, your money, your relationships, your overall purpose. I think about this for right now. For me, I'm going to just speak on me, and to now think of it, and this is me pondering this way, to have freedom from opinions.
Mm-hmm.
Freedom from other, like there's freedom in that. And not only is there freedom from it, but there's value from releasing yourself from other people's opinions about me, about where I'm going. And which is what he said that he went through, Dan Sullivan went through that, writing down what he wanted. He just forgot about people's opinions. But on top of that, he was giving greater value to him. He was finding in the value. He put that in a deposit of himself, that I'm going to create wealth in this sense of the way, from releasing myself from opinions. And from just that alone, his value increased of himself. You know, that matters to me. Not really what looking at or how you see me, what you measure my value as or my wealth as, but what do I measure my wealth as?
Mm-hmm.
Where is it that, as far as I'm concerned, my creator, that he has me going? What purpose is that? Where's the freedom in that?
There you go. Let me ask people out in our listening audience. How many guys out there worry about what the people say about you? I mean, think about it. How many used to? Come on, used to. Not that you do now. Used to. Okay. Now, how many really don't care anymore? That's right. It doesn't matter what they think. It doesn't matter what they say. It only matters what you say and the value you bring. So thank you for growing out there around the world. I'm on page 104, and I'm going to go down to number 7 on our list. Increasing your values involve becoming more specific and specializing in what you create for special types of people. As you become increasingly valuable, there it is, people will pay you an increased amount of money in exchange of your value. Woo, I like that. That's rich right there, Miss Williams.
It is. And, as you increase your value, becoming more specific and specialized, I think about the value that people put into their community by the things that they do for their community, as the example that you gave in the church example. It means that I have a gift that no one else has. And when I share that gift, I give value to others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good. Very good. Mr. Mills?
It has me focused on not just my hands, working with my hands, which is what we're taught, even going to school, getting all these books and everything that we do, to work with our hands, not really our minds, along with it. A lot of internal things that work with us, and asking for those to performing those things to create wealth. Well, as you say, what to think is to create, and to create to think, create, and to create is to think, right? And to
Yeah.
actually just take that purpose along with it. How much more can I increase my wealth? Now, what's so weird for me, the understanding of the crystal, it crystallizes that I'm actually bringing more value to the market just from doing those things. Now, like I said, that doesn't make sense to me. I understand, but I have faith enough to believe it, that there's
That's
freedom.
good. And the more value you bring to the marketplace, the more your net worth goes up as far as what you're worth. I want to thank you for commenting out there, Mr. Sharp. That's golden. Miss Walker out there in Tennessee said, I used to worry about what people say, but I don't anymore. So good for you, Miss Walker. You're growing. I love it. And then Mr. Johnson says, I'm learning not to care. Perfect, 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 perfect. I'm going to jump over to page 108. The bottom, it says, according to Dan, there are 4 distinguished differences between needers and wanters. Needing is extremely motivating, whereas wanting is intrinsic involved. Needing is secure driven, where wanting is freedom driven. Needing is scarcity minded, where wanting is abundant minding. Needing is reactive, and whereby wanting is creative. Wow, Miss Williams, Miss Williams, Miss Williams.
That's 4 loaded sentences. But it's very true. People that function in the needing framework, they need, and the only way they get things done is because they're told to do something, not because they think they need to do. They use what's on between their ears and on top of their shoulders. And they go after things because if I don't get it and hold it for myself, somebody else is going to take it away from me. And that's no.
Yeah, good.
Give it to somebody. I know what I want, and I know that I am not taking from other people. I have an abundance mindset. I don't have an I need mindset. I look into myself of what I want, and it comes from within, not from outside the world.
Amen. Amen. There you go. Mr. Mr. Mills.
And you get me all across the place.
I know, I'm watching the comments like Jackie Black says, go Mr. Mills. April Hall says, never care what people say about me or think about me. So I'm looking at some of the comments, and I'm sorry when I jumped back over there to you. I'm reading some of the comments out loud here.
No worry, my feelings aren't hurt. I'm good.
So you don't need to be motivated.
Hey, the only thing I need is the creator. I want to flat put that out. That is the one thing I will always need. And I have no problem telling the rest of the globally, the world that. Now, the I want, I am, I can, I will, I want. Though that is all in my vocabulary. With anything else that I would say with that, it's not a needing thing. I can't stand needy people. You know, it's like
I don't either.
I need you to be like, you know, want your attention and need this kind of. I was like, it has me think about a lady I once dated. And I was just like, I couldn't do it. I just canceled. I said, check, please. Just, you know, I didn't tell her what it was. I couldn't take it anymore. I can't take it no more. Please stop. just let me know. 5 minutes in the conversation.
Check, please.
We'll get to the point where, you know, I want these things to come to that. It's a great place to be.
I love it. I love it. Let's get mosey over the page. Audience out there, we're going to go to page 106, top of the page. It says, committing to what you want most is the only way to be free, which is true. And I'm going to go to the last paragraph there. It says, you're creating the life you want by creating the values you want. And then a paragraph down, it says, do you want you want? What you do what you want because you want to, which is so true. So true. Miss Kathleen Williams.
And I do what I want. I don't care what other people say. And other people I know probably are talking about me. I don't care.
Yeah.
If I want to, I know I want to do items A, B, and C. I'm going to do items A, B, and C. I don't care if everybody else says, but you got to prep for tonight. You got to prep for the book. I don't want to prep right now for the book club. I'll prep for the book club later.
Yeah.
I don't want to read that book. I want to read this book. That's of a value to me.
Yeah. It brings me back when I first got involved in network marketing, my first company. I was blowing and going, and people would always think the wrong things, or, people, I didn't care. When I went to the supermarket, I said hello to somebody. They would run over to the frozen food section and miss me because they didn't want to talk to me about what I was doing. And as I walked outside and waved at people at the corner, they would run in front of 18-wheeler trucks and go across the street. So they would miss me, so I didn't have to talk to them. And it's so funny. And now they're still working and I don't. Today I get up, I take a walk, I come back, I take a little nap, I have lunch. I do a call like this? And I'm done for the day. I mean, like today was a rough day. It was a rough day because I didn't care what they said about in the beginning. Now I can enjoy the rest of my life because I didn't care about what their opinions was. Because their opinions didn't pay my bills, their opinion didn't do anything. Mr. Mills, you go ahead and comment. I know you're down to get on that.
A little bit what you said. For one, the funny thing is, I believe we actually, a majority of people probably do what they want more than what they think. But it's in how we move. Are you moving through scarcity? Or are you moving through freedom? You want it, But then another thing that you said is, I told so one of my business partners, I just told them, so I reached out to this person through phone and through email, and all of a sudden I go back and it's saying non-void. It's I'm blocked everything. So I called my business partner up and I said, hey, we need to celebrate. And she's like, we need to celebrate. I said, let's pop the champagne. I said, I got my first block call. I was like, darn it, because it showed me this. I'm moving somewhere, I'm going somewhere. So I was almost in a sense saying, thank you, that it brought value to me.
Yeah. And it's so true. You take a no, if you take a no and flip it upside down, it means on to the next one. Mm-hmm. And I can't tell you how many no's I've heard in my career when I first started my first company. And the no's motivated me it got me to where I am today. And I thank God for those no's. Because the average person are not strong enough because their why is not big enough for them. I'm going to mosey over to page 108 at the top, or second paragraph, where it says, to quote Steve Covey, the main thing is to keep it the main thing, the main thing. And it's so true. Keep the main thing, the main thing. And I'm going to drop down to the bottom of the last paragraph at the bottom. It says, living based on what requires courage. Living based on what is how you live your life and how you want it, not how others want you to. I remember, before I let you comment, I remember at age 21, I told my dad, I loved you. I'll never forget sitting in the park in a car, in his van, actually, in the driveway at our house at 1211 Brussels. I'll never forget. It's etched in my mind. And I looked at my dad, I love you, but I don't want to be anything like you. I had to cut that biblical cord because I need to be my own man and not what you wanted me to be. And a lot of parents live vicariously through their children. And because things they missed out, they want to live through us. So go ahead and comment on that, Miss Williams.
I've seen it happen too. And I know when I had told my parents quite a while that this is what I wanted for my education. And my father said, well, if you do this and this and this, I want you to do this and this and this, and I'll pay for your education. And I said, don't pay for my education. That's fine. I know what I want. And that's what happened, because too many people where I grew up listened to people and did what other people wanted them to do. I worked with a couple of nurses who became RNs because their parents were RNs and their parents wanted them to be RNs. They weren't happy. They didn't enjoy it. For me, being an RN was a gift that I needed to share with others, but they couldn't share it with anybody because I got what I wanted. And
amen.
I hate to see people not do what they want to do to pacify, especially parents.
Yeah, so true. So true. So true. Mr. Mills.
I don't even understand that. I can't even comprehend that. So like just doing something someone else told me to do. And I guess I'm just high strung. You can call me that too if you want to. I'm okay with that. But especially if I got my mind made up that this is how it's going to happen, something literally has to strike me down in order for it not to happen. Now, I'm not going to say I'm not going to struggle. I'm not going to say it's going to be easy. I'm not going to say I'm not going to have any roadblocks, but know that I pursued with pursuit to what I need to get to, that I at least touched it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one. I remember in the book, my book that I've written called God's Gift. And by the way, you guys can get it for free on the channel. Go to God's Gift, the book. And I talked about my dad was in the garage, under the hood, greased up, and asked me to pass me a pair of pliers or a screwdriver, and hands got dirty. And I looked at him. I said, I made a decision. I don't care what he wanted from me. I wasn't going to do that. I want to work with my mind and not with my hands or my back. I made a decision. And that's so important, folks. So please go back to the channel, and there's a book called God's Gift, and listen to it. It's only 18 minutes and some change. Or if some of you want to download it, it's there to download in an ebook as well. So I'm going to mosey on to page 109 and talk about this on 109, what Tim Ferriss said. Tim Ferriss is responding to Brian's story by saying that a hallmark of a good leader is making unpopular decisions. And I think that's what we're talking about here. We're making unpopular decisions compared to what they want for us, not what we want for ourselves. And that's what I said. So, Miss Williams.
It's so true that good leaders do make unpopular decisions. They make decisions that they make based on their values, and they stick to them. And if you don't stick to your own values and your own beliefs, you get sidetracked into whatever the current trend is, or whatever the media says you should be trending, talking about. But if you stick to your own values and what you believe.
Before Mr. Mills, you talk. See, this is why people never 10x, because they stay at a 2x level, because they're compromised, or they're think they have to do what their parents say, so they stay at a 2x position, not supposed to be there in the first place. So how can you 10x from a 2x? Because you're put in a position of only being a 2x. When you start living in things that you want, then you can easily 10x. And that's a lot of people that get caught in what their parents want them to do, and they struggle at a 2x level until they discover that they shouldn't be there, or they never discover that. Mr. Williams, go ahead. And Mr. Mills, go ahead and put your reply on what.
You said it's easy, but let me say this. It is easy to 10x. Yes. It is not easy finding that middle ground, finding out how to get to that. Once you find, it's good to have some instructions to help you out with that. Usually, for someone that doesn't know that, has come to book because you've been told, go to school, buy the books. This plan is supposed to work for you. And this plan is not working for me. Once I got the job, I did all the things. I went to college. I went and got the job. And now it failed me. So it kind of boggles the mind a little bit to now transition to, not transition, but to transform into something else. And now using your mind to actually think in a different way. That is not easy to do. Yeah. But once you do, you are, you are wild. Like, so Miss Sharon, she says this: we must be true to ourselves. Everyone else is taken. That helps out so much.
Yeah.
That helps out so much, so.
And it's so true. And in today's society, kids are starting to wake up. Parents are finally coming to the realization, and I'm not here to knock schools or colleges, but so many of our young people come out with a piece of paper, can't get a job in that arena, or there's 10 openings and there's 10,000 people applying. And it's sad, because the biggest debt the government carries is our children's college education debt. And it's sad. And now people are starting to wake up finally that not everybody needs colleges unless you want to specialize in something. Like I know Miss Kathy Wins is a nurse, and yes, we got to go get the nursing school out of the way. But a lot of this we really don't have to have. And I see more young people on the internet making more money than they could doing other things. So I'm going to go on the bottom of page 109. And it says 80% represents security, but not freedom. But even still, the greatest pressure you'll face is internal, which we struggle with because we want to appease our parents, we want to appease society. And it says freedom is ultimately internal. And the last sentence says being free means to let go. Let me say it again, to let go. One more time. To let go of everything you think you need and only choose that which you absolutely want. And wanting is based on freedom. Miss Williams. Woo!
Letting go of everything you think you need. The older I get, the more I'm getting rid of because I don't need it anymore. I thought I wanted it, but I don't anymore. But it's that 80% is security. The 80% is the comfort zone. The 80% is everything we know. Okay. And I can sit and stare at the TV all night. But that's not what I want. I want that 20% that nobody else knows and that only I can jump into and grow to and continue to grow and get rid of that 80%, which I tend to hate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, as the world changed, things change. Mr. Mills.
Beautiful. Letting go of the 80. It has me, the one word to sum that up, surrender.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not easy for everything to not just letting go, but to surrender because this is what you know, especially when it's 80%. That's 80 is it's pretty big. That's a big, large number. And you're telling me to surrender that so that I can focus though on the 20.
Yeah.
Can you trust it? Can you trust that? And I'm saying, yes, you can. It will be work. The internal. It will be work, but I'm ready for the work.
So true, because we've been programmed. I can't go as far as to use the word brainwash, but if that's all you've been indoctrinated your whole life, that's what you understand. That's all you believe is what they told you. So like I could say, as a baby, I could tell them, say it's the color blue, it's green. They would come up thinking it's green. Because if you tell them enough, it is green in their mind. So let's go to page 110.
Can I add something else that you said?
Sure, sir. Please do. Please do.
So you talk about even that, we've been indoctrinated. I can't even say the word, but basically put this into our brains on how we are supposed to act. And you have talked about the things that the world has kind of put into with scarcity, media, right?
Mm-hmm.
Help me out. Media. What's the next one? You have 5 things.
You mean the mountains of this?
The media.
You talking about the 7 mountains of influence?
Is that or it was 3 things? It was money.
Oh.
Media. And what else do they pump fear into you?
Money, media, and school. I think school. I'm trying to think of where you're going with it.
Okay. We'll come back to it. You'll trust me. You'll figure out what I'm talking about. But basically saying this, that we have the media that pumps into us, the news, that we have medical things that also I think that's another thing right now that really is a huge thing that they have people foreclosing on their homes because you're giving them these bills from dividends and things you also have to do along with, right? So we have those different things that are basically put into us in how we should live, watching the television and letting it just program us, program our children.
Yeah.
Program all the things that we do.
I think Miss Sharon in Florida said education.
Yes.
And Mr. Clemens said outwitting the devil. And there's so much in today's society, which we see this past week going around the world, so much divisive and division. You conquer people through division. You conquer people through fear. And that's how you separate them. And that's how you control them, through fear. It's through fear. Wow, that's some good stuff. Page 110, the top says, I'm gonna read the top of page 110 out there, audience. So on top of the page 110, I'm gonna read that sentence and the last sentence on the page of 110 as well. So here we go. Needing is based on security. We just talked about this. Fear, there it is, fear, F-E-A-R, false education appearing real, we're owning our minds, and worry of other people's judgment. Isn't it amazing how we worry about what people say, or 80% of things we worry about never come true? Why do we worry? And then another problem comes, and you worry about that. The bottom of the page says everything you want is on the opposite side of fear. Ms. Williams.
And everything it is on the opposite side of fear. And going back to the first sentence, worrying about what other people's judgment, and it's just not our personal fear of other people's judgment, is a projected fear of other people's judgment that was projected onto us as children when we grew up. You know, if you don't do this, then I'm a bad parent. If you don't do that, then you say you project out to the world that I'm a bad parent. No, that's you being you and me being me. And I figured my boys were going to do what they wanted to do once they walked out the front door. And I could only raise them believing in the Lord and setting certain standards for them. But once they walked out the door, there's influences I have no control over.
Yeah. But if you get to them early, you have a major influence. As they go out the door, they'll remember that, which is important. Mr. Mills.
So some powerful things here in this whole page. I feel I wish we could read the whole thing. We don't have the time to do that. But that last ending part of that, everything you want is on the opposite side of fear. That is so powerful. And it just makes me so curious of, then what is it? What am I missing out on? It makes me think of an old prophet that talks about a group of people that were restrained under another group of people. And their creator told them, I'm taking you out of this. And I'm basically saying freedom from, which this page is talking about. I mean, freedom from. But I'm giving you freedom to a land that's flowing with milk and honey.
Yeah.
I'm giving you freedom to that place. So I'm saying this. So it's saying that there are two core types of freedom. And freedom from, external escaping from. But then the next thing, freedom to, internally committing, courageously choosing to move forward. That's powerful to me. So it makes me wonder, what is on the other side of that fear?
You know, I was watching, believe it or not, yesterday I was watching a kid's cartoon, King of Kings. And it was talking about the king and how when Jesus went to the temple and overturned the tables and all, and it was like the opposite of fear. And the Sadducees was trying to hold the people down by controlling. And that's why I always say they're sad, you see.
I love it. I'm taking it.
I like that.
You can use mine. I got a lot of stuff. Okay, let's go to the top of page 111, folks. Thank you for joining us tonight. We're having such a great time in this book, and we hope you guys get a lot out, because there's a lot in these pages, and we're just kind of highlighting them. So as you take your time and go through, you're going to get stuff out that we didn't talk about tonight, but there's so much in here. So we're just highlighting some of the things that we thought were important for you out there in the listening audience. Top of page 111, it says, an obvious challenge people face is they don't know what they want. A lot of people don't, because their whole life they've been taught, to go this route, paint within the lines, and don't go outside this way, and don't go that way. And I'm gonna continue on a little bit. Mr. Musk said, Elon Musk doesn't need to go to Mars. He wants to. Martin Luther King didn't need a rally of racial equality and freedom. He wanted to. So there's a difference. There's a difference in want. Miss Williams.
Wanting is based on freedom and abundance. Totally freedom and abundance. And both of those examples from those two gentlemen show freedom and abundance. And, as it goes on that page, it talks about how in AA you have to want to be free, and you can't keep lying to yourself. And unfortunately, too many people keep lying to themselves about what they say they want, but they really don't look at what they want. They say it's what I need instead of what they really want.
Correct. There's a comment that came in a minute ago that I thought was pretty prevalent for right now. Miss Sherry out in Florida says, "What other people think about me is none of my business." I like that. I don't care to know. I don't want to know. Go ahead, Mr. Mills. I just want to get that comment that came in.
None your business. That's what we say. The none your business is
none your business.
That's how we say that in St. Louis. So the one thing is, I'm listening to what we're saying, and I was that person. You know, I know there was something more, but what? Which has another keynote speaker that we know of, and he would just always say, "People are looking. People are looking." Now they're numb, because they've been told so much of what to do, but they're searching. They're looking for something, and it could be looking for you. But you got to get free first, in order to help out and let them know that not only is it just possible to be free, but you can come on this other side of fear along with it. And it comes from your core, or another lady, she says, can you feel it from your craw? Right in your craw here.
Hey, craw. There you go. There you go. Hey, I want to thank Miss Angelina in Fresno with a comment with the hearts out there. Thank you, Miss Angelina. Mr. Rick Kubiak in Hawaii just said, "Your fear will keep you from achieving what you want out of your life," which is so true, Mr. Rick Kubiak. Thank you so much for your comment. And my dear friend, the Economical Ninja, is watching tonight. This man has over 500,000 plus followers. He's getting to he's going to go to 1 million just by shooting everything on his own camera. And a dear friend of mine and a brother in the Lord, which I love dearly, he said, "Sweet to watch." Thank you, my friend. Thank you, Ninja. Thank you, Ninja. On top of, on page 117, we're going to go to the 15th one. We're going to go, it says, the second paragraph, "You must embrace what yourself are unique. Well, you must embrace that you yourself are a unique individual. You got to value your own uniqueness, which also means valuing and appreciating the uniqueness of someone else."
Because if you don't know that you are unique, you don't know who you are. And we are all unique and created unique. We are all individuals. And we may have been created in the image of one person, God, but we are still created differently. Hair color, eye color, skin color, the number of fingers and toes we have, and there's some people have a different number. All of that is a uniqueness to us, but also we have the uniqueness as human beings to make choices and to think. And it's that thinking process that gets some people in trouble because they have needs and not wants.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Mr. Mills.
But I love me some me. And I'm proud to tell everyone I love me some me. And I know that there's a uniqueness in me. I know that I was created different. And I'm thankful that I was created. There's some things and some people I'm just like, I'm like, oh, God, thank you for not giving me that. There's some things I'm like, I would love a little bit of that. But when it comes down to it, I love me some me. And it's a reason why if you don't love yourself, how are you going to love someone else?
Yeah, it's true.
Get someone else out of freedom when you don't even care for your own self.
Yeah, I love it. I want to thank Miss Maria Estrada in Arizona. She says, "When you know your worth, the fear is less." Powerful. Yes. I'm going to go down to page 117. The last two paragraphs is why this is why things come easier for you when you're in your unique ability than comes from other people. It's not the things that are easy for you. It's that you're going all in on what you want the most to do. And because you're all in, you grow and transform the nonlinear into exponential levels. Then you learn to 10x faster than most people in progress, 10x faster than seems normal. You make a leap in your progress, skills, and results that are otherwise otherworthy. That's powerful. That's so powerful. Miss Williams.
It is, and it is very true. When you know who you are and that you are unique, be it in a physical uniqueness, I think of Kobe Bryant and his unique basketball skills. I think of other athletes and their skills. They're unique, but they took that uniqueness and built on it and made something for them, not only themselves, but for others around them.
Wow, that's so true. Mr. Mills, your thoughts?
I love it. I have to think about a movie in the 90s with the Wayans brothers. It was called Mo Money.
Yeah.
And they would do something that was, creative, or they found something and figured it out, and it exponentialized itself. They would say, "Mo money, mo money, mo money." It was exciting to me, So that's what had me just thinking about that. This is compounding on compounding on compounding itself. Just saying, once you get into that part of unique ability, of that freedom, of feeling all that, it's to the point where I don't have to worry about the freedom takes care of itself. You got your part together, but it's going to expound so much that you can't even. It's unmeasurable. My cup runs over.
Unmeasurable.
My cup is filled up, but it runs over.
I love it, sir. Good, both of you guys. Those are great answers. Let's jump over to top of page 117 real quick. In the first two paragraphs, it says, when you embrace your new unique ability, work becomes play. As you follow your curiosity and interest, you become open to new potentials and possibilities. You reach outside and above your current skill level. You embrace greater flow and greater performance. You're continuously elevating your standards within your dormant, making them higher and more unique. So there's, this is amazing, because when you step out and continue growing, like you say, more money, Miss Williams.
And when you embrace your unique abilities, you continue to stretch and grow and liberate, and you take the boundaries and push them out, and you can accomplish things you never thought was possible, and other people look at you and go, huh? How'd you do that?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's me. I can do that. You can do something else that's unique to you also.
Yeah, that is so amazing. That's very good. Mr. Mills.
Continually elevating your standards to they become higher, more nuanced, and unique along with it, which means it just reminds me of just different leaders that we know, and that some people will love to emulate and just show this. Even though this is one thing I love people saying, that the bottom is crowded. There's so much room at the top, but once you get to the top, they're all unique in their own way. Everyone, freedom looks different for other people, but at the same, it's not saying that it's bad. It's just different. It's in some sense of the word, every last one of them could be beautiful.
Yeah.
There's something about it, that attachment to that freedom that you have.
Thank you for that. As you were both speaking, I thought about a class that I do every Tuesday morning early, and I'm trying to 10x that group called the RD Challenge Group. And some of them are already 10x, some are 5x, but a lot of them, they have to get out of their own way. And a person have to want it, really have to want it. Hey, I want to thank Mr. Joe Marsharp for his comment, and I want to thank Ms. April Hall for saying yes. Mr. Danny Payne, thank you for joining. Oh, we got Greg Williamson, used to play for the LA Rams on the call here, number 43 here. He says he liked that more money bit. Thank you, sir. Used to play for the LA Rams. Let's go down to page 119 at the bottom. It says the second two paragraphs, each 10x jump you make will non-linear and transform that person. A 10x also takes your life, and it will surprise in a different direction. And I think the different directions is because, like you said, Mr. Bill, it surprised you that you 10x because we're so busy staying who we are every year, day in, day out, that we finally move and 10x ourselves. We're surprised at that we came so far so quickly. Ms. Williams, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, and we came so far so quickly, and it reminds me of this information earlier in the book when they were talking about Michelangelo going from a 17-foot David to painting the Sistine Chapel. I mean, we're talking in 20 years or less. It's the uniqueness that people have that grows and acknowledges their uniqueness and their abilities to continue to grow. And if you don't acknowledge them, you'll never 10x.
Very true. All right, Mr. Mills.
Okay, so I'm going to put this a little bit on myself. Well, that 10x jump, there's some things that I've done in my life that I 10x'd on. And now, mind you, the point wasn't really to 10x. It was to move forward, which just so happens to be 10x. But it was in that scenario, there was a lot of ways for me to kind of, blame this or that, kind of pushing me back to stay in my 2x point of view. But really, it was my state of mind. This is what I knew. I had to plummet through myself and say, oh, dude, it's going to happen. You're going to have to, I had to talk to my own self and say, you have to move. I think you just did a call on that. Declare war on yourself. And sometimes the battle is just within. It's
That's
really
right.
no one else. You think it's everyone else, and it's like, no, dude, it's right here, right in your crawl, as we were talking about.
Yeah, that's on the stage. I just did that video. It's on the stage on the channel here. You got to declare war on yourself. It's so true. All right. With that said, we're going to go over to page 120, the third paragraph. Now, it says the one saying that my dad told me when I was younger, was, "What got you where you are will keep you. What got you where you are will keep you there." He was trying to prove the point that just because you think you made it doesn't mean it's time to take it easy. It means it's time to keep on going. It's so true. I remember one of my gentlemen, one of my superstars, one of my businesses, he said, when you find yourself in the junkyard, don't stop there. Put the pedal to the metal and get out of there. Don't stop, don't slow down, just keep going faster. And then the next sentence says, your life objection is to develop mastery in the express your unique ability. Wow. Develop mastery in your full express of your unique ability. Miss Kathleen Williams.
And by knowing what got you where you're at now and realizing it's not going to get you where you want to go, you have to develop full mastery of your unique abilities to get you where you want to go. Otherwise, you don't get there. You're stagnant. You slide backwards. You take everybody else's answers. But realizing that this got me where I'm at, but it's not going to get me where I want to go at all.
Yeah. Good answer. Good thoughts on that one. Mr. Mills, what'd you get out of that?
So we were talking about opinions, and this is going with actually positive and good opinion. I'm great at encouraging someone, but taking those opinions and making them comfortable. So you're doing a good job. What you're doing so great. That opinion, by the way, those are opinions. You're doing so good. You keep doing what you're doing. You keep doing, but what we just got to saying, what you're doing won't get you to where you need to go. And so I heard someone else saying, you get those, it's good. You get those compliments, it's great, but you knock those down. It's not to keep you and say, hey, if I just maintain this, I might get my next compliment. No, you push that away so that you can plummet through to the next one. You keep moving through. So it's more of an internal thing, of anything. Thank you for the compliment, but there's another goal I need to get to.
There you go. Now let's talk about mastery. Head with me over to page 123, the second paragraph. Folks out there, if you got your books, head over there with the second paragraph. We're going to talk about mastery. It says mastery is not just the ability to do something well. Well, listen up. It's the ability to do something uniquely well. Wow.
That part.
Uniquely well. And I'm going to drop down here under number 2. It says, see potential for never quit, never ending improvement. And it says becoming increasingly clear on who you are and what makes you unique and the difference from everyone else on this planet. Wow. Wow. Miss Williams, there's a lot to unpack there.
There is a lot to unpack there. Starting at the top with mastery is not the ability to just do something well. As Jackie pointed out, there's Michael Jackson's, Tiger Woods, and they tend to be in the athletic world and in the world of theater and the arts. They have a unique ability, but they also have a mastery of their skills and of where they're headed. And without that mastery, they wouldn't be where they're at today or where they were at the time of their death. And it makes a big difference, because if you don't master what you're unique with your unique skills, you don't get there.
Very good. Very good. Mr. Harrison Mills.
So, this is really for me. I get anxious and excited, and sometimes I want to go past all the things so I can get to this. So it's like, it almost felt like it's like, oh, I just got a free pass to go past all this, go free, go past. But here's the thing. Wouldn't it be nice if you can just get up as a baby, just get up and start running? You want to, because I want to run. But before I run, I have to first learn how to sit up. Before I learn how to sit up, then crawl, then walk to get to running. I have to master all the other things before I get to running. But the goal is to run. I want to so bad. I might trip and fall. I might hit myself a couple of times. I might do, and that's my problem. I'll bypass everything and just say, just get me there. Impatient. So, but at the same time, you got to have that patience in order to get, because all it's going to do is help you to be your unique self.
That's good. Your unique self. And I think the next thing we're going to talk about is being very unproductive. That what you just said, you just want to get there. Let's all go over to page 126, the fourth dot down from the top. It says, what's the 80% of your life keeping you busy but unproductive because it's keeping you outside of your unique ability? And I think a lot of people, they spend more time there than they do in whatever wherever their unique ability will take them. Ms. Williams.
I agree. And I found myself personally being at times throughout my life at that 80% that was just holding me like there was a ceiling or a 10-ton block of something on top of me that wouldn't let me get through and wouldn't let me get to where I wanted to be and where I wanted to go. And until I got rid of the 10-ton block, I was stuck.
Yeah. Wow. That's a good one. That I marinate on that one. That was really good. Mr. Harrison Mills.
There's so much more. Let me say, sometimes with the 80%, your life is, you're keeping busy, but unproductive. Sometimes I don't think I mean to do that. Sometimes life is lifing.
Life is lifing.
Sometimes life is lifing. You don't, and I'm going to be a little transparent. So my parents passed away. Both parents passed away while I was in high school, middle school and high school. It took a while for me to figure that out, but I knew I was going to figure it out, but how am I going to figure it out? So I'm saying you have all those things as far as life is concerned with it, right? But the one thing I did learn as I go through it, getting to the point of walking, of crawling from walking to running, is that now I live for them. I want to use myself as an example. There were so many, and I don't live their life, but I'm going to live for them is what I'm saying. There's a difference.
Okay.
I'm not living their life, living for them. This is what you're going to do, but you're going to live through me. See, I'm here on this earth. Now you can shadow me inside me, and let's move forward with it. And so I just use those things right there. It left me in an unproductive place because I just was going through the motions, wanting to figure it out. But once I did, either through a book or a church, any of those things, but expounding on that to say, hey, you've been doing it wrong.
Okay. Well, we're gonna go to page 127. Thank you, sir, for your comment. That was that threw a different light on it. I appreciate it. We've got a few more to go, and we'll be ending here in a few minutes, everybody. So hang in there with us. We got just a couple more. On the bottom of page 127, we're gonna throw it a little twist in here. It says the last sentence on page 127 says, in every social situation, you're either being a buyer or a seller. And the top of the page 128, it says the difference between a buyer and a seller is the buyer always walks away. Ms. Williams.
The buyer can always walk away because the buyer has control of the situation for themselves. The buyer is the person that knows what they want. The seller, not so much. The seller is the person that
Gets
is
rejected
uncomfortable and just has to accept everything they get.
Good. Yeah. And if I was reading more, then it says the buyer is not desperate to be there, and the buyer is the one who does the rejection, and the seller is the one who gets rejected. So, Mr. Mills.
Now, let me say that I'm not disdain for money. I know we kind of talked about that a bit, but this one plainly lets me know with money you can do so many different things. Now, and I'm not saying money's everything, but it sure does beat broke. Is what I'm saying. I would give me the money is what I'm saying. As we talked about, more money. And the reason for it is so I can go do other things. It gives me choices so that I can actually focus on wealth. I can focus on freedom. I can focus on those things. If I remove that, what if money was not a problem, was not an issue for me? Now, what would your focus be? What kind of things can you do? So I love that. The buyer can walk away, and all I see myself is trailing away. I'm gonna be thinking about that tonight.
Yeah. Now watch this. Let's throw another twist in there. It's not about money. What if it was a relationship? You could walk away. A buyer selling all day long. You're either buying or selling. If you're in a relationship, somebody sold somebody. So we could look at this as not just money. We could look at this as anything. You could be buying a car. You could have a relationship. You could be looking at something that you want to do, a hobby or something, or some investment or some sort. So it could be a lot of different variations on this, folks, not just money. So don't think it's just money one way. So look at it that way. Now I'm going to go down on page 128 where we're there in the paragraph that starts off, once you allow yourself to be the seller, then you're selling yourself short. And it also says in that paragraph, you're operating based on a perceptive need, not want. So here again, it could be anything. It could be money, it could be whatever. Miss Kathleen Williams, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, if you allow yourself to be a seller, you are selling yourself short because you're the one that when the buyer walks away, you got nothing. Whatever they're walking away from. And you're being external, not internally driven, because when you're a seller, you have to wait to see what the buyer is going to do. If you're the buyer, it's all internal to make your decisions.
Wow. Mr. Mills.
Man.
Wow.
It's a lot. But I'm gonna comment on thank you for that, Miss Sherry, and she's talking about money is next to oxygen, meaning it's not everything, but it sure is close to oxygen. Pretty much goes up right up there with oxygen, right? So I love that. The one thing out of this whole bit of the buyer, it goes in from I guess a spiritual sense for me, that we're on this earth for probably this long, but as far as a person who we are, our lifespan is probably this long, but we're on earth for this part of that whole little extensive, we're on about this much, but we focus so much on this part instead of the whole spiritual part of this whole bit of who we are. And it's just saying, if you live in this spiritual part here, how much more freedom do you have? Why do you put yourself only in this body? You put your limitations only in this body, in this brain, in this mind, when you're made to exponentialize yourself even more from the spiritual. You live in the spiritual sense while you're here on earth.
Mm-hmm. Good point. And that's why I said when we talked about this buying and selling, it doesn't have to be money. It could be spiritual. It could be a relationship. It could be a lot of things. So let me give you an example. If you're walking down the street and somebody smiled at you, they sold you a smile. Mm-hmm. Now, whether you bought it or not, it's up to you. But life is not just money and dollars. So selling and buying it contrasts so many things and transform over so many different platforms. So love it. Our last one for the night on page 129, compelling offers. I'm going to talk about the third paragraph in the bottom. So all participants bring different and unique values to the table. Now that's amazing because we all have something to bring to the table. Whether your relationship, what do you bring to the table? What makes you a balance with that person? So in business, what do you bring to the table? To the marketplace, what unique value do you bring to the table that you deserve more? I remember a guy said, we was talking to Jim Rohn, hey, I want to get paid this kind of money. And Jim Rohn asked the guy, is that all the company pays? No, that's all they pay you because you didn't bring as much value as the next person did. So any comments on that, Ms. Williams?
That's very true. And people look at who gets the raises, who gets the promotions, who makes more money, but they don't realize what they are contributing to they don't see what each other contributed. And if you don't realize that your contribution isn't as significant as someone else's, you'll never understand that you are really a seller and not a buyer.
Good point. Wow. Good point. Thank you, dear.
Oh, wow. Speaking about that seller and buyer, it has me think of people that are invested in being buyers by creating more value to themselves. And once again, we're saying it in the wrong way. I'm going to get a second degree, or I'm going to go to get a third degree. There's a lady I know. I call her a full-time student. This woman is always going for another. She has about 4 or 5 degrees and is in the same place as me, And I'm just kind of like, I was like, what are you doing? She just like, and it'd be different. It's just, I love school, which she does. And that's okay. But you weren't doing it because you love school. You were doing it to create more value to the marketplace. And I just said to her, what if there was another way? What if we've been doing this whole thing wrong? Just to kind of just get out of that box of you. She was to the point where she could teach kids how to get a degree. I mean, she was good, but just saying, being a buyer and a seller, it kept her still in the seller market. It didn't put her in the buyer, so it's something for you to think about.
That is something to think about. Ladies and gentlemen around the world, to go from 2X to 10X, you have to buy. Here again, you have to be a buyer. You have to buy into the idea you can, and then go to work to make it real. Our book 10X is easier than 2X. So if you're a buyer, you're going to elevate yourself. If you're a seller, you're to stay right in the 2X. So that's the thing that I got out of it. So let's give a grand synopsis of what you got out of it tonight in a minute or so, Ms. Williams. If we summarize chapter 3, what would you say about summarizing chapter 3 real quick?
That to go from to be a buyer, to go 10X, to do any of the, to develop your own unique abilities, you have to transform. It's not transactional, it's transformational. And it's that transformational change that this whole chapter has been talking about.
Yes. Great. Appreciate that, dear. That's powerful. Thank you. Mr. Mills, how would you summarize chapter 3?
By what the title says: embrace abundance and reject scarcity. And how are we able to do that? I believe is through surrendering, letting go of the 80% and focusing on that abundance part, which is the 20, Now, and that might be different for different people. As we were talking about relationships, it could be spiritual, it could be money, it could be all those different things. But right now in your life, in my life, what is it that's going to make me embrace abundance even more?
Wow. Thank you. Wow. Well, ladies and gentlemen around the world, thank you so much. Come back the same time next week for chapter 4. We're going to be going into part 2 of the book, part 2 of 10X application, chapter 4, uncovering your 10X past and clarify your 10X future. So join us next week, same time. We'll see you then. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Go to the website, to the message pop up, and then add your email into the box and click sign up. Thumbs up us, please, and also leave a comment. We appreciate the comments and those that shared today in the comment section. And share this with at least 7 people. And get around your group and have a discussion with your group about this. And it'll be a great way to grow with people that around you that you want to add value to their life. Because this is what we're all about, adding value to people's life. I want to thank Ms. Kathleen Williams from Sacramento for joining us tonight. Mr. Harrison Mills out in Fresno, California. My partner, Mr. Bree Clemens in Nashville, Tennessee for joining us. And all of you folks that made comments and all that that tuned in live with us tonight. We'll be back same time next week. So get ready for chapter 4, second part of the book. And with that, I want to say thank you so much. Take care. God bless. And remember, we'll see you at the top. Always see you over the top. Have a blessed evening.
Bye.
Bye.